Res life is the best life. It's very true. All of it's true. You see, like, the pile of clothing? And it's been bigger in the past. I don't know. Res life is the best life.
This is the craft we do.
Res life is the best life.
There's never enough time. I need more hours in the day.
Res life is the best life.
Res life is the best life. So I signed up to be an RA, or I applied because I had a really, really great RA my freshman year, and she was always there, just wonderful. Shout out to Blossom. And then I also really liked the other RAs in MEP. It was a very like tight-knit community that year, so I really like looked up to the people who were RAs. And then also I like to help people. Like I would kind of mom my roommate and she didn't appreciate it. And I thought, okay, well if I'm an RA, then this is my job. I can get to do things like that. And it's a lot more than I thought it would be. There's a lot more to it than just like bulletin boards and things like that, which I was excited to do as well. But I think I'm still an RA because I like the community part of it. I like the Res Life family, and I think that it's taught me a lot of really wonderful things, like how to be more confident, things like that. So I think that's why I've continued, and also why I started.
I would say that during Gabby's freshman year, so she was living, of course, with someone. And I think Gabby's always been like a motherly figure, and she's a caretaker. The RA position allowed her to utilize her motherly personality, and I think that's been really good for her because I think that's what she needed while she was here.
There is a lot that goes into being an RA. Every day is different, so it's kind of hard to explain, but there's the community building part of it, there's the being a resource for your residents part of it, there's doing things on time, like your bulletin boards, programs. There's always more paperwork to do, there's always more things to attend. Like we have in-services, which are programs for us, so it's just kind of like a balancing act between all these different things and mainly being there for your residents.
As a reminder, put on your calendars that May 10th at 6:30 is going to be the closing banquet. I'm gonna find
So
some
staff
way to,
meetings are once a week, and typically they're at night. Well, this semester my staff does them in the morning, which is weird, but it's fine. So typically they're at night, and they can be anywhere from an hour to 2 hours long, depending on what you guys have to talk about. So like if it's the week before your all hall, then it's going to be a longer meeting. If it's the week after the all hall, then it's going to be a shorter meeting probably. And it's just a chance for the staff to get together and talk about like what we need to get done for the upcoming week. And just another way to check in on each other too. My low is I also have a lot of deadlines coming up, and including one I've decided in 5 days I'm going to grad school and I don't know what I'm doing. So that's one-on-ones are the opportunity to be one-on-one with your supervisor or graduate hall director, and they're every other week, and they're typically an hour long as well. And it's just another opportunity for them to check in on you, make sure you're doing all the things you have to get done, also making sure you're an alive human being. And when I first started and I heard we have to do these, I was like, it's going to be so like an interview every week kind of thing. It's going to be a lot of pressure, but they're so relaxed. Like they're really a lot of fun. Like I enjoy them. Like one time, like Bethany and I talked about Sarah Dessen books for the entire hour. So it's not like it's all about Res Life kind of thing. It's just kind of a way to talk to your boss in a casual way.
Oh my gosh. Is this like symbolic? I have to update it too. Yeah, girl, you're in the home stretch.
That's so stressful.
Are you getting... I've seen her mature a lot this year in terms of, I think, decision making and thinking through those hard decisions. I know right now she's kind of in the middle of deciding grad school. And the conversations that I've had with her just about, I think sometimes at the beginning of the year, I think it was hard for her to make those decisions, and sometimes she's like, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing or not, and I think she's still working through that, but I've been able to see a little bit this year and like, okay, this is what I'm feeling, like I feel really strongly about this, so I think I'm going to make this decision. And I think the same can be applied to her job as well, whether that's like, I'm going to do this program and I feel really confident in that, or this is the way I'm going to run my closing meeting, or this is how I'm going to interact with my RAs. Yeah.
So I don't know. And the really stressful thing is Chapel Hill hasn't told me about funding, but NC State's offered me a position, an assistantship that would pay my tuition and a stipend. But it's not a lot to live off of, but it's something. So I'm like,
yeah, no, I mean that's huge, Gabby.
yeah, I know.
Congratulations.
Thank you, but I'm stressed because I don't want to go there. I feel like along the wall would
I was thinking, yeah, like
Right?
one
I like that. I trust your instincts.
there. Alright. Everybody got the tape?
Dip.
Appreciate it.
The sign should we put inside or outside?
a lot goes into programming. So it's not just like, oh, I like this one thing, so I'm going to program out of it. No, it has to fill a category. So we have, I think this year it's 7. It changes every year. I think this year it's 7 that we have to do. And so there's academic success, there's community, there's diversity, there's personal wellness, service, and then there's 3 walkovers. So you have to like get people out into the community.
Sign up table. Sign up is up here, you guys. And then you can grab all the food you want. All right, not all of it.
This is our all hall. So what we do is there's at least one program per semester where all of us, all the people on our staff work together to make one giant program for both of our buildings, or all the buildings, for everyone's residents to come. And so we're just trying to get as many people out as possible. And yeah, it's trivia. So I was in charge of making the forms that they will use during the actual event, which is here. So it has like the different categories and stuff and rounds. And then I will also be cutting out momentarily all of these tiny little squares so they can write answers down, send them up, and things like that. And then during the game, if they get 3 of like say the sport ones right, then they get the character. And they need all 6 characters to win. So that's what I'm doing. And then other people will come with like food and our wall decorations, which I don't know where they're gonna go, but we'll figure it out.
You were like, it was like when you're pretending to write but nothing's actually on the paper. That's what it looked like. No, you literally, Savannah yelled at my I was like, you're just shaking the pen. You're not writing.
The program was fun. It was really good. I think you had not as many people show up as you would have liked, but it was a great atmosphere, great energy. I thought it was very fun.
Res Life is the best life.
Res Life is the best life.
Alright. You can still compete for second place, so keep going.
How is your decision-making process?
Not well, because I told myself I would decide by today, and today is here, and I don't know what I'm doing. So I'm supposed to call my mom tonight, and we're gonna talk about it. But I don't know, cause like if it wasn't for like the money part, I know where I would be going, and so I'm like, how much is the money part like a factor? So I don't know, cause then my boss brought up a good point about like the year that I'm not going to be in school, I could be making money, which is that counteract, you know, because the other one's a longer program. So, I don't know. What happened? I'm going to put down the duty log.
What is it?
I don't know. It looks like there's onions. This is the crap we deal with. When you get a call or if you're walking by, like, first you have to deal with the incident itself. Depending on what it is, you have to get, actually always you should get their MUID number, and you should be writing down as an incident is happening if you can, like what's happening at certain times and things like that. And then once the incident is handled, you do an incident report, and depending on what it was, you might get called into judicial to talk about it. Yeah, so even in like fire alarms, we have to do an incident report. Every time the fire alarm goes off in MEP, that's paperwork for an RA. So we have to like have the time written down and which officer came, and then also which residents like set the fire alarm off and what happened and everything. I remember my first incident of my second year of being an RA, because you dealt with it with me, and we were walking through doing walkthroughs of the building before school even started, and our room smelled like weed. And we ended up having MRPO called and had to do a search and seizure, and it was a whole thing. I felt so bad like afterwards. For a while then I remember like, okay, this person did it to themselves, like you know, at that point we can't ignore it when it's that strong, like that in the breezeway of an outdoor apartment you can smell it, but it's just still, you feel kind of bad when people get like disciplined and stuff. So I could never be a cop. That's what I learned from this job. I could never be a cop because I would feel so bad all the time. So we're between duty rounds, so Jenna's actually doing work and she's making a scrapbook for her boyfriend's graduation, and I'm just Netflixing. So we're on duty starting at 5, and then at 7 we have to start being in our area. So in the apartments, it's all the apartments. Because we're an MEP, it's just you have to be inside the building, starting at 7 onwards until 8:30 the next morning. So door decks are done twice a year, or mandatory twice a year. So in the fall semester and the spring semester. So you typically do something that goes along with a theme, especially in the freshman residence halls, like you have a theme for your floor. So last semester mine was Van Gogh. So my door decks were the Starry Night. And then bulletin boards are a lot of work. They're done every month, and they also have to follow like certain guidelines. So like, this semester I had to have one on like Title IX, so things like that. So you always have to have different ones every month, and they have different guidelines and things like that. So yeah, so this is an easy bulletin board because they gave us what we have to put up, so it's just stapling things that pertain to closing. I decided where I'm going to grad school 2 days ago, so it's very, very difficult, but I'm going to Chapel Hill for library science. I think that's also Stone State. But I put the school names in a hat, and I pulled Chapel Hill 3 times and was relieved each time. So I decided to go. Hello. Hi, we're doing safety and cleaning inspections. Okay. So there's never enough time. I need more hours in the day. You really have to learn how to manage your time effectively because you have so many things to do in res life alone, let alone like your classes and your other work, because most of us have other jobs. So it's just trying to find the time to do everything, and also remember how to do everything right, because like there's a lot of rules, so you have to remember like how to handle certain situations. Res life is the best life. It's gotten me great friends. Like I never would have thought I'd still be doing it like 3 years, because I was also an alternate, so I didn't even think I'd get it. So I was really surprised when I got hired, and it wasn't the apartments, because I didn't want the apartments. I wanted MEP from the beginning, and the apartments are wonderful. Like I do not regret ever starting there. Like it was a great experience. You passed. Res life is a family. It's definitely a family. It's a kind of a little cult, I think. Like we're all trained to be a certain way, but we all are trained in our training to like bring out the best parts of ourselves. So I think that we really work to make each other better.
Happy late birthday. Coffee W.
I was a lot more quiet and shy and like unsure of myself, I guess you could say. And I think being an RA, especially in the apartments the first year, like really had to like toughen up because people like I think will walk over you if you're not talking with authority and things like that. And so I'm still like quiet and introverted, but I'm a lot more friendly like to strangers and things like that. I talk more to people who I didn't talk to before. I think like it's definitely helped me in college become like the person who I am today.
How has your week been going?
Pretty good. A little stressful, but I'm making it. So.
I think oftentimes students have this perception that the RA is like the hall cop, or they're just trying to get you in trouble. And we try so hard to train our RAs that this job isn't about getting people in trouble. It's about keeping residents safe, and it's about building community, and it's about helping build relationships not only between the RA and the residents, but residents and residents alike.
I think RAs can become discouraged and disheartened when they're planning these programs and they do these bulletin boards and they do all of this, you know, because it's their job for residents to come to, and then they don't get that attendance. I would want residents to know that RAs are doing everything for them.
Anytime her name was brought up in the office, it was like, oh my gosh, Gabby! And during her return interview, she had said that she was interested in working with freshmen. and I was immediately so excited, and I was like, I really want to get her on my staff, and thankfully I did, and it has been such a joy working with her. So she's, you know, a third year now. She's a senior, and I've just been so impressed with how she's handled her last year of college and being an RA and transitioning into a new area and working with freshmen, because it could be very hard, especially, it's not that big of an age gap, but it's really hard sometimes for a senior to relate to a freshman, and she's just, I'm blown away by how well she's done. I could not have done as well as she is doing when I was a senior as an RA. She's just, her attitude is great. She actually does her job and gets things done on time, and it's been an absolute pleasure working with her. She's great.
Can I just take a few? If you need more, okay. If you need more.
The residents are great that I've had. I haven't had any that like make me not want to like come back to the job or anything. I don't know, like I love the apartments. I love MVP. Everything's been wonderful. Well, not everything, but you know, overall, I think the good outweighs the bad. I would do it again, like in a heartbeat. Once an RA, always an RA.